Welcome to the Cover 4 podcast. I'm Nolan Kangas. That is Bradshaw, Furlong, Luca, Moia, and Jeff Wall. Folks, good to see you again. I've missed your sweet, sweet faces. It feels like it's been forever. This series has been an absolute blast. Obviously, we've talked about, even off camera, how tough it is to make these lists and how players fall, don't make the top 50, how some players are rising because we think they're, better. Well, us personally think they're better than maybe what some of our peers think. But guys, let's dive right in. I had to, at the beginning of the episode, before we even started, there was this player who I had to bump from 30 to 23 because my numbers, my adding up wasn't, ideal. Obviously, not much of a math guy, especially in high school. I'm trying to get better though, clearly. But guys, 30, this guy, I think I put him pretty low on the list, to be honest, if not having him at all. No, I was an idiot. I didn't have him at all. And he's still one of the premier offensive linemen. He can play guard. He can play tackle. The Dallas Cowboys had a mess of an offensive line last year, and he was an absolute force for that team with everything he tried to do. And I didn't put him on my list for some reason. So I'll take the brunt of that. Our 30th ranked player, Zach Martin.
Heavens.
I know. It's
heavens
one of the ones. I know Luca did it last episode where he goes, I think I just forgot about one of these players.
Yeah.
And he was one of the offensive linemen where obviously we talked when Dallas had that one really good year. They were the top seed in obviously the NFC. Dak, rookie of the year. Zeke was was the runner-up for offensive rookie of the year. And that offensive line was absolutely disgustingly good. And it kind of fell off last year due to injury. So I kind of forgot about him a little bit. There was so much hype with the Browns. Obviously, David Baciari, there's always hype around him. I forgot about him. My apologies. But still, someone on, in our list had him pretty low, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go to it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Oh, of course Jeff did. Jeff doesn't like anybody. I'm surprised he has a number one player. They're all just last in his mind.
They're all pretty much 50, and then Justin Fields takes up the rest of the spots. So
Jeff has been on the Justin Fields hype train. So Jeff, these other guys had him. I believe both of you guys had him in the 20s.
I had him at 15. I had him at 15.
Okay, so,
21. Wow.
Yeah, pretty high. Jeff, why is he low for you? Because you had him at 48.
I just think he is a little bit not as good as he used to be. I think the guard, there's a few, well, there's not a few, but there's at least one guard that has kind of, leaped him. And I think he's leaped him by quite a good margin. Maybe that's why it's sort of like the lore of Zach Martin is kind of, it's kind of not as what it used to be for me personally. And I do think that there are other guys that kind of impact the game maybe a little bit more. Like, don't get me wrong. I love offensive linemen. I think offensive linemen are the key. If you guys listen to the show, you know that I think offensive line play rather is really the key to a great team. But one of them doesn't really, they can't affect the game that much. Of course, he is great at his position. He's been great for many years. But I also see, hey, look at the rest of the Dallas Cowboys offensive line. Frederick retired. Tyron Smith really isn't what he was. So I think we are going to start to see a little bit of a decline in play as well going into 2021. And I think, another guy might, still continue to improve a little bit, if that's even possible.
That's fair. The guard you're mentioning, obviously, I'm not going to say his name, but he's high on this list, obviously. But they're right. You're right. There's a bit of a drop off. I do want to mention, I do still think it is funny that the Dallas Cowboys, what was that? The 2014 NFL draft. Everybody wanted them to take Johnny Manziel, and they make the smart decision and go with Zach Martin, who, you're right, he has been a top 30 player in the NFL, and that's why he is 30 on this list. Moving forward, I left Zach Martin off, but both Bradshaw and Luca left this player off.
Let's go.
A safety. Jeff's going to be rattled.
Oh, God.
Tyrann Mathieu. You guys both left.
Oh, yeah.
Tyrann Mathieu.
I did leave him off.
There's Jeff. Yeah. That's a tough one.
Hey, Jeff, I put Eddie Jackson on. You didn't even have him close. Who's the real Eddie Jackson fan here? Not you.
He wasn't even on. I'm not even going to lie to you. He wasn't even on. But,
But
disappointing.
So I was disappointed you guys didn't have Tyrann Mathieu. I had him at 18. Jeff had him at 14. And that's the reason he fell, just because you guys didn't have him. So it lands at 29. Why didn't you guys have Tyrann Mathieu? I know he wasn't fantastic in that Super Bowl against the Bucs, but nobody on that Chiefs defense really was. But we've seen him at his absolute best, and he's one of the most exciting, smartest players in football. So, Luca, you got me started. Why not Tyrann Mathieu on that list.
A lot of good players.
All right, Bill Belichick. God damn.
There's just a lot of
good players.
We're on to Cincinnati.
We're on to Cincinnati, boys. I guess it's kind of what Brad said last episode. There are a lot of players on this list you'd rather over him. Would I rather 50 over him? I don't know. I did a lot of this based off projection, and I think there are a lot of talented young safeties coming in. But then you look at it, like, there's so many safeties, so many receivers, so many running backs, unless you're Jeff. Like, there's so many, players that you could put on this list. And he just missed the cut. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Yeah, probably is a top 50 player, but didn't make my list. So I'm sticking to it. I can't change it now.
And Bradshaw, similar reasoning for you, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I mean, just off the top of my head, I'm looking at, like, I have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so safeties. Like, I can't just, like, as much as Jeff would love me to, I can't fill my list with safeties. And if I think there are just some safeties that are better than him. And I mean, it's like, I feel like Jeff would agree that, like, after John Johnson, there's like a kind of a debate, or even Justin Simmons, there's kind of like a debate between like a bunch of different guys of who you can have as like your number 3 safety, your number 4. And like, they're all kind of close. So I definitely, like, I'm not mad that he's in some people's top 50s. He just wasn't in there for me. I just think there are better players than him. But obviously Tyrann Mathieu is one of my favorite players in the league. So I'm not an anti-Tyrann Mathieu guy.
I just want to quickly say there are at least 50 safeties in the NFL. You could definitely make a list full of 50 safeties. I don't see the problem with that at all.
That's what we need. That's the next list, is Jeff's top 50 safeties in the NFL.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that'll make me a little bit.
If Richie Grant doesn't make your top 50, you're off the podcast. He hasn't played a snap. If he's not on there, you're off.
I do still find it a little bit shocking. I'm really looking forward to the way John Johnson plays this year, because you guys have a lot of hype in him. He was fantastic, especially this past season. He's been a good player in the NFL. But Tyrann Mathieu, who's been pretty consistent his whole career, to not be on there, and for John Johnson to be getting that love from Bradshaw. I know he's got love from Jeff as well, but at least Jeff had Mathieu a bit higher. I want to see in a new defense how he plays.
Well, Mathieu was my number 1 safety, actually. But
you go.
But the only reason why I put him a bit above John Johnson, and it's not that I don't think like 100% John Johnson could be better than Tyrann Mathieu. I think Tyrann Mathieu, like, just objectively, it's pretty clear he does a lot for that Kansas City defense. Like, when he came to that defense fully healthy and everything, he changed it. Like, and with Spags, the way he likes to play, he's the most essential player on that defense. The way he covers pretty much anybody that comes up there, he stops the run. He's so instinctive, and he's not really an athletically dependent guy. I don't think he ever has been. He's just a very instinctual guy. So I think he can kind of continue for a really long time.
Moving forward, another DB, another one that Bradshaw left off his list. He was the only one to leave him off his list.
Oh God, I definitely forgot about him or something.
Led the league in interceptions. Xavian Howard. Did not have him. Obviously, he's been in the news recently. He's been having issues with his contract, and been pretty upset he's not the highest paid corner on his own team. Bradshaw, how do you not have Xavian Howard on your list? He was all pro corner this season.
A little bit of forgot about him. A little bit of there are better players than him. I'm not. Looking at my list, I definitely would have considered him near the back end. Like, maybe put him over Allen Robinson or Levante David, but I'm not need to have him on my list. Like, I like the corners I have more than him. I like Stephon Gilmore more this upcoming season, James Bradbury. I don't need to go any higher. That's going to start spoiling some of the list, but I like some of those guys a little bit. I like Xavian Howard, I do, but I just think I like those guys a little bit more for this coming season. So, I mean, I definitely didn't remember him at the time. But even looking at it now, I probably wouldn't have him too high if I did put him on.
Luca had him at 37, I think, which was still surprising to me, still a little low. Jeff and I had him in the same spot. We both had him at 22. So clearly, Jeff and I, great minds think alike in this situation. Not the John Johnson situation. Yeah, which seems like the first time of this whole series that we've been even. More DBs. Let's just keep going down the board here, guys. Another corner who made the list. He made all of our lists, and it was all pretty consistent. Let me see who had him the lowest. Luca had him the lowest. Ravens corner, Marlon Humphrey.
Oh, yeah.
Comes in at 27. All of us, well, obviously, like I mentioned, except for Luca, I had him at 31, Jeff at 30, Bradshaw 28, Luca at 40. So relatively all kind of similar where we had him there. I do want to see another leap from him.
Me too.
I just think when you have him and Marcus Peters as your top two, corners, should be one of the best tandems in the league. And I still think we see them get beat a little bit more than you'd like. Because I don't think he's reached that Pro Bowl caliber. He's reached, everybody's saying he's a top 50 player in the league. I don't think he's reached that Jaylen Ramsey, Jair Alexander shutdown yet. And I think if we're giving, goals for players, and obviously, they're not going to listen to what we're saying, but if there was that situation, that would be the next step for him. Is he has to be the guy saying, no receptions this day, 1 reception for 5 yards, 1 reception for 10 yards, one of those types of seasons. Right. And then that would boost him into the caliber of 1A, 1B, 1C with Ramsey and Jair. Do you guys, kind of agree with that?
Yeah, I do. And I think a lot of his, I'm not going to say hype, but like a lot of people like him because of, his playmaking ability and tackling. He forces a lot of fumbles. We've seen that before. And I think that's a big reason why. But I agree with you, Nolan. I do want to see him take a step in man-to-man coverage. Just taking a guy away. Like we've seen Gilmore do it. We've seen Ramsey do it. Jair Alexander in his young career, he's done it. And I would like to see a little bit more from him. He's a risky. Like him and Peters, they're very, very, very aggressive corners. Like they'll get beat, but they'll also make very good plays. I just want him to be that guy because Peters has been that guy for his whole career. I think Humphrey's got to take the step, say, okay, I'll take away the best guy. Peters, you could be aggressive on the other side. So I would like to see him step up a little bit, but he's a great player. I mean, you can't complain if you're a Ravens fan.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get away from the DBs. This one was kind of a gap with all of us. I had him the highest. He was my 15th best player. Or 15th ranked player for that matter. Luca, seems like you nearly forgot him. You had him way down at the tail end. You had him 49th. Offensive lineman, San Francisco 49ers, Trent Williams.
Oh, yeah.
I had him on. Yeah, I had him on. He was there. He
just got on there.
Just barely.
Got on there. And, it was crazy because I had him, like, really high. Like, I think I had him in, like, the 30s, like, around, like, where we are. And then I just kept pushing him down and down and down. And then at one point, I'm like, damn, this is pretty low. I said, but I don't know, like, how I'm going to adjust my list. Again, though, like, he's getting older. I know he's still one of the best left tackles in the league. But I think that right now, looking on the offensive line, I think for me personally, I think there's about maybe 4 to 5 guys I might take over him. But I put him there out of respect because of his longevity and how good he has been throughout his career. Does he take a step back? I mean, he is getting older, like I said, but you got to respect him. Put him there. I got him in the top 50. No one can complain. He made it. 49, scraping the barrel, but he's there.
What I will say is, he was one of the best tackles this past season, highest PFF grade. We've seen how damn good he was in Washington. Finally gets out of there after that nightmare hell he had to deal with. Goes to San Francisco. Again, fantastic. If I'm starting an NFL team with an offensive lineman, he wouldn't be the guy because of his age, right? Like, but so I kind of agree with you there a little bit, Luca. That maybe for 1 season, 2 seasons, sure. Hey, if you're a team that's desperate for an offensive lineman, which San Francisco was, trade for him. But you're right. Like I think we're gonna get closer to those days where he kind of slows down. But I'm pretty sure Bradshaw and Jeff, you kind of had him in the 30s and 20s as well.
I'm at 25, yeah.
And I think Jeff, what were you, 39 or something?
Exactly, 39. Yeah, and I kind of agree. I almost think like because of that year off, we kind of forgot about him a little bit. And you know what, it is sort of like it's the flavors of the month kind of thing where the other guys are kind of starting to come into the league. They're coming into their own as well, right? And I think offensive linemen do tend to age pretty well. I actually think they tend to have a long period of growth, whereas so he could continue to stay good. And I also think, but the other guys could also continue to develop more. So yeah, I agree with that point. That's a great point, Nolan. Like if you're going to start him for if you're taking for a long 5-year stretch, yeah, you probably don't want him, but maybe 1 year. Oh yeah. I think because I think he's going to be crucial for the Niners this year.
I forget who he blew up in week 1.
That was amazing. That's all I could think of when I was putting him on this list.
But that was probably the block of the year. Who was it? I think it was Jordan Hicks. I think it was against Arizona and blew him up. It was hilarious. All right, moving forward, Jeff, this is another one you left off the list, buddy. Bradshaw, Luca, and I were pretty consistent here with the high 20s to high teens. So I had him 28, Bradshaw 21, Luca 18. Jeff, you had him off your board. Joey Bosa.
Jesus, Jeff.
Yeah.
What are you doing, buddy?
He's a buck guy.
Why is Joey Bosa not on there?
He's too slow and he's kind of ugly. I'm kidding.
My God.
Out of all the guys, like I see a lot more upside with guys like Chase Young. I just kind of think Chase Young is better. I think like Brian Burns better, Chandler Jones a lot better, Myles Garrett better, TJ Watt better, Khalil Mack obviously. I mean, he's the greatest pass rusher of all time, clearly. But they're just all kind of better. They're just kind of better. I mean, Joey Bosa isn't bad. He's not bad at all. But there's a lot of good pass rushers in the NFL. There's a lot of good pass rushers. It's really hard to pick. And honestly, if Nick Bosa is the same guy, he's way ahead of him. It's not even close. Just the athletic upside of it. I don't know. I've never been a big Joey Bosa guy. Honestly, I really haven't. Like I've always thought he was going to be a good player. I just never been a big Joey Bosa guy. I'm sorry.
He's I nearly forgot about him, right? Because you kind of forget about those guys, on the Chargers because their offense has been so talked about recently. You kind of forget about him. Obviously, I forgot about Derwin James, even though coming off injury, but I still think he's going to be fantastic. But I see what you're saying. We haven't seen a Joey Bosa like kick-ass season where it's like
never. He
has been unblockable. Where he's been more just consistent. I still think, off the edge, he's so, just his head fakes, how good he is with his hands. He's still pretty athletic, but I was surprised to see him not on your list.
To be fair, though, he does miss a lot of time with injury, so maybe the numbers. But, he'll play, maybe 10 games and get 10 sacks.
He does actually get injured a good amount, yeah.
Yeah.
Considering that Ingram was on the other side for a long time there and who is a good pass rusher, he didn't really have a lot of numbers in that regard.
I guess that's true. We'll see what he does this season, right? It's a new, Ingram not there anymore. Bosa's got to be the guy. And for a Chargers team that's looking to make the playoffs, we will see what happens. But Joey Bosa, 25. 24 hurts me a little bit. Stefan Diggs. He is our 24th ranked player. We all had him on the list. The highest, I think, may have been Bradshaw. Bradshaw, where did you have Diggs?
There's no way. I could not have been me if he's ranked this high. I'm at 37.
No, so it wasn't you. It was Jeff. Jeff had him 23.
Yeah.
I had him 26. Luca 31. 37. That is pretty low. Why is he so low on your board?
It's only 6 spots lower than Luca. What are you talking about?
It's so low.
It's not that low. It's not that low. It's not that low. It's not like I'd put him at 49 like Trent Williams.
Listen,
what?
Listen. No, that's shady,
Brad.
Drop off.
Been on your side all episode.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm just saying it's not. I'm not aggressively low on him. I still obviously think he's a really good receiver. He's still. I think
at him, he'd be mad. I think that's. He'd be mad.
Well, yeah, he'll take it as a slight that I have at 37 and not number 1. He'd probably be mad that all of us didn't have him number 1.
He'll find out who your team is and then burn them.
All right, that's fine. Everyone burns the Falcons. I love Stefan. I can't. I'm not going to knock Stefan Diggs. I love him. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL. I have not a bad word to say about Stefan Diggs.
Okay.
He barely made your list, Brad.
I know he just cracked the top 50.
Just cracked it.
I think you still had Julio over him. No, right?
I did have Julio over. Because I think Julio's a better receiver.
Okay. Sure. So then I'll come back to you on this. Where would Stefan Diggs rank in the top? Is he in the top 5?
What for receivers? God, what do I have here? Let me see. 1, 2. God, I have to go through my list here. This is great radio. 3, 4. I think he's 5th. I think he cracked 5.
I think he's top 5.
I think he's 5 for me. He is 5.
I think after this season, I think he's got to be top 5.
I think he's 5th.
He changed the whole offense.
He did. I was gonna just say he really there was no other Bills receiver I can even think of that had an even decent impact on that team. He shredded the Colts in the playoffs. He was basically unguardable as a receiver this year. I think he actually, in some ways, because Josh Allen was so good, he didn't get talked about a lot. But dude, that guy had acres of space every time he would line up one-on-one with a corner. He was incredible this year. I would say he even took a leap.
Shout out Brian Dable.
Yeah, exactly. He's pretty great. And that's a good point too, for sure. But I think he did, like, considering that he was like the only real threat, you would think teams would like look to him. Maybe that'll change this year. Exactly. But I think he was really, really good.
And they had no run game either.
Yeah, they had no run game at all. That's another factor I didn't even think about.
Diggs, Cole Beasley, and Josh Allen.
He's one of the more fun players to watch in football, especially if you're just watching technique and how he gets off the line of scrimmage and his route running. I don't know how many Steelers he destroyed in that game. One, it was good to see the Steelers lose, but he was filthy in that game. His footwork is impeccable. Let's move on. 23. Jeff, you didn't have this guy, but it's because Jeff has left running backs off of it.
Oh, yeah.
This is the one I had to change from 30 to 23 because I didn't put my ranking in there. Derrick Henry comes in as our top running back, 23 on the top 50 players heading into the 2021 NFL season. I'm not going to ask you, Jeff, to answer this, but I'll ask the other guys. Does Derrick Henry, at the end of this 2021 NFL season, is he still the top running back in football?
Yes.
You think he's going to be?
I have no reason to believe he's not. He's been so damn good these last couple. I know you're going to, Dalvin Cook, Bradshaw. What about Dalvin Cook?
I wasn't. I was going to say your buddy who left the Titans and joined your Falcons, he's not there anymore. True. And you have an addition from Atlanta going to Tennessee. But I
don't think Arthur Smith was the sole purpose, the sole reason why Derrick Henry was really good. He's still a really good running back. I think he's going to be really good regardless of who the offensive coordinator is. And I'm usually with Jeff in terms of I don't want to put running backs too high, but Jeff and I actually talked about this off air. It's just the fact of and I usually don't take players' words too seriously, but when you have so many guys who talk about how they don't want to tackle Derrick Henry, that matters to me. That really matters. That these guys, again, not that they're not gonna afraid to tackle him or anything, but they're man, it's tough to bring him down, and that just means something to me. When the unanimous consensus vote is God damn, this guy is a monster, and I have to acknowledge that at a certain point. He is a monster. He is by far, in my opinion, he's by far the best running back in the NFL. I know Jeff loves Nick Chubb too, and he is great, but Derrick Henry is a monster. I keep using that word, but he is an absolute freak.
I don't know how many times I've brought up the numbers between him, Eric Dickerson, and Adrian Peterson in the best stretches of their past two seasons, and he blows them all both out of the water. He has been absurd. But Luca, you think same thing as Bradshaw? You think after?
Yeah, I had him high. Yeah,
I had him 13.
Well, yeah, I had him 9. So
shit! All right.
I had him. Yeah, you were so far off me, Brad.
I know. I had 4 spots lower. I must hate the guy.
So far, barely made your top 50. But honestly, he's just. I think because Julio's there now, like you guys mentioned. I think Arthur Smith leaving or not, receiving wise, I know they lost John Smith. I know they lost some depth, but it's kind of hard to argue. You got those 3 guys. The only thing I will say, and it's not Derrick Henry's fault, is that when the Titans go down, he becomes a little bit irrelevant, just a little bit, because he's not really used in the pass catching game as much. I think he could be, but he's not going to be like a McCaffrey or a Kamara and run routes out of the backfield. He's more of a screen pass, just maybe give him a swing pass, because you give him a swing pass, he's going to run over 3 guys. So that's the only knock I have on him, but pure runner of the football, he's the best in the National Football League, and I don't think his offensive line gets enough credit, because when they're running the ball and you still can't stop it, the offensive line has to get some credit too. So Derrick Henry for me just ran for 2,000 yards. I keep thinking every year he's got to slow down at some point. He just keeps getting better.
I will say he is going to be the best, but I do think I wish Christian McCaffrey had a better offensive line.
I know
he's so incredible. I wish Saquon Barkley had a better offensive line and stayed healthy, because again, so incredible. I do think it's probably Derrick Henry, then Dalvin Cook, but there's a bit of a gap there, and then who you want, whether that's CMC, Barkley, Chubb, Kamara.
Mike Davis.
Yeah, sure, Mike Davis. Right. But yeah, I will still say after what we've seen in the past 2 seasons, Derrick Henry is the consensus number 1 running back in the NFL. Well, I guess not consensus for our podcast, but in most eyes in the NFL, he would be.
Well, Jeff just doesn't like athletes. If they're athletic, Jeff isn't a fan.
No, I'm
kidding, Jeff. I'm kidding.
No, I know you're messing around. You always do. But my actual
never serious.
Never. Like everything Bradshaw says is most likely not. It's like at least 80% not true. But
he's not wrong.
But like he like I will say this, he is definitely 100% the biggest home run hit running back.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I've ever seen, like, other than CJ2K, obviously, but like, I mean, the fact that like when he's in the open field, like it's totally to that point where like, I think dudes are like, oh my God, please just stay near the sideline so I can push you out. Like they do not want to deal with that guy.
He doesn't even look that fast.
He doesn't. He's just kind of like that easy stride kind of thing. He's just so big, like in the knees getting so high. I don't think you want to go low and even tackle him because you're going to get kneed in the dome. But my issue with him generally is like what you said, Luca, the catching, the route running. And also he kind of doesn't have the best vision, honestly. I swear I see this guy run into his offensive line's butts all the time. And it just kind of really irritates me. And I think honestly, because that would be the difference between him being like great to me, like easily the greatest running back right now, and maybe of like the last like 5 years easily, right? I think that is literally the difference.
What I'll say, not to bring up another Viking, but kind of similar to Adrian Peterson, where he didn't really catch the ball well at all out of the backfield. Home run hitter when AP got Lucia. That's kind of the situation with Derrick Henry. I think AP has a little bit more step and he can juke you, but again, stiff arm will truck you. Similar in that way where they don't look the fastest and then they get an open field and go, how is nobody catching them? And they're blazing by. I know I'm going to take this one on the chin for the next one. 22. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Cause I think who else had him low?
Probably me. No, the way this is going.
It might be me, honestly.
It's Bradshaw. Bradshaw and I keep him from getting in the teens. Josh Allen at 22.
I'm surprised Jeff didn't have him low. What the hell is this?
No, Jeff had him. I believe Jeff may have had him the highest. Jeff did.
15.
Jeff had him at 15. Luca had him at 16. Bradshaw, you had him at 40. I had him at 43.
I just want to quickly take this moment. All right.
Big Josh Allen guy over here.
Like y'all say I'm a defensive guy. Like I got a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of like offensive weapons up here. All right.
You say you're a defensive guy.
1 sec.
I mean, well, okay, no, but I advocate for defense because I feel like I am the only person in the world that sees them as anything but a pylon, and it really makes me mad when I see that. That's all. That's all it is. And also I appreciate what they do. I just do.
Wait, so Jeff, did you have Josh Allen or Stefan Diggs higher?
Josh Allen is higher.
And you said Stefan Diggs had a bigger impact on that offense than Josh Allen did.
No, but he had, bigger than any receiver. Sorry.
I think you got me mistaken. I meant Josh Allen and Jags.
He might have meant he might have meant it. That's why I put quarterback there, so I knew.
Solo. Yeah. I didn't do
that. So for this, and I'm glad someone was in the same boat as me, because I might be mistaken, Bradshaw, but I think you had Dak higher.
No, I had him one spot lower.
You did? Okay. Because I actually did. I put Dak higher. I know that's bold. I
don't think that's very bold. I think if he was healthy, I think that's a no-brainer.
And I just think what we're going to see, this Cowboys offense is going to be disgusting. Yes, the Bills offense was disgusting. We mentioned their offensive line held up really damn good last year. That's going to be tough to translate again year to year. And a lot of turnover-worthy plays where a lot of dropped interceptions. I mentioned that Cardinals game. There should have been 4 or 5 picks in that game. I know Patrick Peterson had 2 or 3 of his own. I just don't see him getting to that MVP level in back-to-back years. I think we're going to see a drop-off. And, it sucks, for Bills fans. I think they're still a damn good team. And they're still going to win that division probably pretty easily unless Miami, takes another leap. Sure. Yeah. We'll see how, Big Mac and
Mac Jones, baby.
Mac and cheese, baby. Mac and cheese.
I just think we still see some weird throws where he misses and the accuracy isn't there.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to be fine, but I know I was getting hit on social media too when they gave him the big contract, the 6 years, right, the highest guarantee.
I was the one that defended the contract too.
And I, and that's fine.
And Jeff dumped all over it too.
I do want to see players get paid. I do think it's a pretty wild story. He had no scholarship offers, ends up going to Wyoming, and ends up being a first-round pick, and now he's the biggest guarantee. We're going to see a drop off. I guarantee it. I'm telling you,
guarantee.
We didn't do it. I forget what we even said. The one time I said I would chug a beer out of a shoe. If Josh Allen is better this upcoming season than he was last year, I will drink an Old Milk out of a shoe.
Wow. What about if he's better than Dak?
I would back you on that though, Nolan. I do think he's going to regress. If I thought he was going to be the same or better, I would have put him in the 10s. It would be easy. It's easy. I genuinely do think he's going to regress, but I don't want to be too harsh and say like, oh yeah, he's going to be like he was. What was it, like 2 years ago? Oh
yeah, no, I don't think anybody who like thinks he's going to regress thinks he's going to be that bad.
No, but I still think just his ability, like I just do kind of think he needs to be up there, and in a sense, like he really, other than like him and Stefan Diggs carried that offense. They did a lot. He was the running game too. So I got to give him a little bit of credit. And then when he regresses, then I don't have to ever put him in the top 10 again, or certainly the top 15 again. Never.
Very surprised, Jeff.
I was surprised you did put him there. Let's move on. The one that isn't really surprising, he ends up being our highest ranked safety. That is Justin Simmons, comes in as our 21st best player for us. That was pretty consistent, I believe. I had him 23. Jeff had him 33. Bradshaw had him 22. Luca had him 32. So all kind of in the same area as well. Now, did Simmons get
too far off, Brad? You're too far
apparently off. So that's the same area, but me having him 6 spot, I've had enough. I'm just happy Justin Simmons is getting his due.
Yes. He got paid, right? I'm pretty sure he did get paid.
He did. He did. Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay.
You got a nice fat contract. I'll get you the numbers in a second.
I did probably the highest paid safety in the NFL. I'm assuming maybe the richest contract for a safety ever. He deserves it. He's been fantastic. Yeah. Great in stopping the run, but probably the best in coverage, I would say. The way he reads the field is incredible. There's not many other things to say about him. Where did you have Justin Simmons in your top safeties though, Jeff? Because you're a safety man.
Sorry, just give me one sec.
Just cut in really quick. He got a 4-year contract worth $61 million.
Really? What's the guarantee?
Big fat 35.
Less than I thought, to be honest.
Yeah, that's still a fat deal.
It is. Yeah.
He is the highest paid safety.
Okay. That's good. That's good for him though. He deserves it. He's helped that defense.
Absolutely. He's the best safety in my opinion. But there's a debate to be had.
And Jeff, that I want to hear that debate. So who did you have? You had Tyrann Mathieu 1,
Tyrann Mathieu was number 1.
Johnson 2, and then Simmons 3?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's what I had. Yeah, and I think they're really close. I think I'd probably say you give Tyrann Mathieu the edge, I guess, in man coverage. I would give him the edge in man coverage over them. I would say zone, it probably would be Justin Simmons, just because like the way you said, he
covers so much ground.
He covers. I think he's probably the fastest, I would imagine. Really good at just getting picks. Like he just has good hands, I think. And I would say run stopping is probably John Johnson has the slight edge over them. But again,
he's the smartest too.
It's really, he probably is the smartest, but it's really close. It's really close. Like I wouldn't be mad. And honestly, they could have flipped. Maybe Buda Baker's up there. I don't know. Maybe somebody's sleeping on him. I don't know. I'm kidding. But no, it's pretty much those three splitting hairs. And like you guys said, definitely deserves that contract.
What did you say Eddie Jackson was? I thought he was. Is he the best cover safety, or is he the
best zone cover safety? No. Probably is, but we'll see. I think he can do a lot. The problem is that like this past 2 years under Pagano, he just wasn't really playing in the right role. He was doing a lot of tackling. He wasn't able to play that center fielder kind of thing, almost like an Earl Thomas. And I think maybe this year he comes back. But just the general versatility of an Eddie Jackson, he doesn't really have that compared to them. And so like I definitely couldn't put him up there with those guys for sure.
Yeah, and you're forgetting obviously Harrison Smith. He should be in.
No, he probably cheats and stuff, and he's like
what?
Now hold on. Before we end this episode, I just remembered that I got Jeff to admit he was wrong and he forgot. He should have not forgot, but he should have had somebody on this list. He should have had Eric Kendricks on the list. He admitted that.
Yeah, I admitted that.
He did admit that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Jeff, because he is one of the better linebackers. Speaking of linebackers, the next episode, we're going to see who is the top linebacker in the NFL, who is the top corner in the NFL. That is coming up in the next episode. But this is the Cover 4 podcast, 30 to 21 of our top 50 players heading into 2021. We will see you guys soon.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Lingo Sports and Lingo News for a whole lot more just like this.